Hello, my name is Isabel Allen. I'm the project forester for Wakatoan, and I'll be walking you through this presentation about the Herbicide Alternative Program as the second installment in an Introduction to Forest Management Planning and FSC certification. This presentation is geared specifically towards Indigenous communities in the Martel and Magpie Forest area, with the goal of raising the bar on understanding rights to have values included in forest management plans. For some context, this is the boundary of the amalgamated forest. It contains Chapleau and Missinabie. It's located north of Sault Ste. Marie, east of Wawa, south of Hearst, and west of Timmins. During this presentation, we'll go over the way herbicides are used in forestry in Ontario, the creation of the Herbicides Alternatives Program, the process of netting down treatment area, the variety of alternatives to be explored, and the next steps in moving forward. Herbicide, or aerial spray, is a tool used in Ontario's forest management to help regenerate conifer forests after they have been harvested. Included in the Crown Forest Sustainability Act, the forest industry has a legal obligation to renew forests that have been harvested. There can be many challenges in achieving the correct species composition, one of which is competing vegetation that can overtake the planted conifer seedlings. There are two ways that herbicide is used to combat the competing vegetation. One is to spray a cut block before it is planted, which is called site prep, and the second is to spray a cut block after it has been planted and competing vegetation has overtaken the planted seedlings, which is called aerial tending. The herbicide commonly used is glyphosate, and it is usually applied as a fine mist released by a helicopter over the blocks that require treatment. As a part of the Ontario government-mandated forest management process, herbicide use is put on the table for discussion during public information centers, open for comments during the public review period, and included in the materials brought forward for First Nation consultation. Values affected by herbicide can also be brought up outside of the FMP process if the forest is voluntarily being certified for sustainability by a third party, such as the Forest Stewardship Council, FSC. Another way values can be recognized is through relationships or direct agreements formed between the forest industry tenure holder and the affected community. Now we'll get into HAP and where it came from. As a result of continual community input against the use of herbicides in the Chapleau district, in 2011, Rayonier Advanced Materials, or RYAM, committed to work on herbicide alternatives in collaboration with Mushkegowuk Environmental Research Centre, First Nation and Métis delegates, the Ontario Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry, and the Ontario Forest Research Institute. This commitment achieved a 20% reduction in herbicide use over the 5-year period of 2011 to 2016, as measured by the amount of total active ingredient used across 3 RYAM tenures. After this initial success, there continued to be a shared desire to move towards more on-the-ground activity and to create a HAP toolkit that would support forest managers and silvicultural personnel. Wakatoan joined the HAP initiative in 2016, and we now engage with Natural Resource Canada, the Ontario Forest Research Institute, and MNRF science personnel to advance the program. This graph shows the most recent results of the HAP program. While the annual rates are variable, the trend of the 5-year rolling average is downwards. In 2019, showing below 15,000 kilograms of active ingredient being applied on the Romeo Millet, Gordon Cousins, and Martel forests, which represents roughly 4 million hectares. Glyphosate is the only product used with an application rate on average 2 kilograms per hectare of active ingredient. The intent is to keep these trend lines headed downwards. Based on direction from local communities, a focus area of HAP has been the Chapleau Crown Game Preserve. In this graph, you can see that there has been a reduction in kilograms of active ingredient from above 2,500 kilograms in the area before the start of the HAP program in 2007 to below 500 kilograms in 2019. So what are the HAP processes that are already occurring to achieve these reductions? In this portion, I'll go through the process of how areas are selected to be sprayed. The following examples have been provided by RIAM. The first step occurs in November or December during the annual work schedule production, where all areas that may need tending are selected. This includes anything planted during the previous year, anything seeded 2 years ago, and anything that has been noted in flights or drive-bys that may need retreatment. An example of this can be seen in the image on the left, where all potential spray areas are selected in the orange border. The public is then notified with the initial large program, and it is all reviewed by the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change before a spray permit is granted. The following July, when the tree plant is completed, lines are digitally added to potential spray blocks for RIAM summer students and Wakatoan field staff to complete competition index surveys on areas of different representative sites and species. Since there's not enough time or resources to ground survey every block, the Chapleau Crown Game Preserve is a priority area for the surveys. Using the results of the surveys, a second flight is conducted to stratify blocks and identify further areas that don't need to be sprayed. The image on the right shows the final netted down version, with all areas selected for spray outlined in orange. This information would be given to the spray contractor, who would carry out the program in late August to September. To quantify this example, this year's spray program had a roughly 45% reduction in area from the initial proposed area to the final actual spray program in the Chapleau Crown Game Preserve that's within the RIAM tenure. To recap, some of the considerations for areas to remove from the spray program are location within the Chapleau Crown Game Preserve, areas that have been flagged by community inputs, proximity to water features. As seen in the image on the left, the buffers around the water features make the eligible spray area operationally unfeasible. Further considerations are the species of trees that were harvested and are being regenerated, and the results of the competition index surveys. This image shows the results of the competition index surveys. Each dot represents a planted seedling that was measured and had the surrounding competing vegetation measured to generate a competition index value. A competition index value over 60, shown as red dots in the image, means that the area may need to be sprayed due to a large amount of competing vegetation. The green dots show a competition index value of less than 20, meaning that there is very little competition and the seedling will likely be able to grow to a healthy maturity without being assisted by a herbicide application. This tool is used to reduce the overall volume of herbicide being applied to the forest in accordance with the HAP goals. Of course, there are many other regeneration methods to explore that are potential alternatives to herbicide. This chart shows the current potential toolbox of non-herbicide vegetation management methods. The conventional alternatives that are being explored across the province are prescribed burning, hot planting, which is changing the timing of planting to be as close to harvest as possible, spot scarification instead of scarifying the whole site, planting larger seedling stock, and motor manual methods, which includes brush saws to clear around planted seedlings. There are also new methods emerging with new research and technology. The first is mulching, which would help with slash piling and planting sites, and the second is attempting to study and emulate natural systems, which includes timing of harvest and partial harvesting. These are all potential tools to be explored that can help forest managers to successfully regenerate forests without the use of herbicides. Moving forward, we will continue to look into alternatives as we drive towards zero herbicide application. The HAP program is continuing to do work in and around the Chapleau Crown Game Preserve area. This fall, the Wakatoan staff completed field work to establish research manual brushing plots. Through partnerships with RIAM, Natural Resource Canada, and the Ontario Forestry Research Institute, research trials and on-the-ground work will continue to support the advancement of silvicultural practices in forestry. If you have any questions about the content of this presentation or would like to suggest content for a future presentation, please contact David Flood or myself. For more information about the Herbicide Alternatives Program, visit the Wakatoan website using the link at the bottom of this page. Thank you for your time and attention. Miigwech.